Hi, my name is Ashton Javidapur, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the culture of Turkey, or more specifically, the coffee culture of Turkey. To begin with, I'll share with you three important core values which the people of Turkey share. Those are going to include their religion, which is Islam, greeting etiquette, and honoring one's guest and respect and gratitude towards one's host. Branching off of this comes the culture of coffee, and the coffee culture of Turkey is very, very widespread, and it began many centuries ago whenever people in Turkey began brewing Turkish cups of coffee for their friends and family to enjoy at home. And this coffee acted as a beacon of hospitality and friendship. Whenever you were provided a cup of coffee at one's home from the host, that meant that they very, very highly valued your friendship and your companionship. And this cup of coffee was to act as kind of a symbol of this friendship. And it was a way for people to come and gather and converse and have a good time with one another. And in the 16th century, people wanted to bring that from home and bring it into a public setting where you could share this coffee with strangers even and friends and family, and you could come together and you could play games and you could have a good time. And so in the 16th century, the first coffee houses were established in Istanbul, Turkey, and soon enough they became very, very widespread in the entire country of Turkey, and people were gathering at them every single day, all day long. And the very, very strict empire of Turkey at the time became aware of this, and they did not like it at all. They thought that people were coming to gather and talk politics and talk religion, which was very, very taboo at the time. You were not meant to talk religion or politics outside of a religious setting or a political setting. And so the Empire of Turkey took down these coffee houses and they put a ban on all coffee houses. But this resulted in a very, very violent outcry from the people of Turkey. And since this outcry was so violent, the Empire of Turkey had to lift the ban and let coffee houses continue again. But they didn't let them continue without heavily, heavily taxing coffee houses, and this tax acted as an income to the state. But the coffee houses still remained and still remain today. And in these coffee houses, you're not going to come across your regular lattes, Americanos, drip coffee in bulk, stuff that you would find here in America. In Turkey, the demand for Turkish coffee is very, very high. And coffee houses in Turkey do nowadays have lattes and Americanos, drip coffee, and a lot of the things that we in America have, but the demand is much, much higher for a traditional cup of Turkish coffee. And to make this traditional cup of Turkish coffee, you're going to start with very, very finely ground coffee grounds, and it's going to be even finer than an espresso grind, which if you're familiar with coffee is very, very fine. And so you're going to start with 2 to 3 scoops of coffee in a pot of cold water on your stove, and you want to begin on a low to medium setting on your stove and begin bringing it to a temperature of about 158 degrees. And you can add sugar to the coffee or you can drink it black. It's really just up to the personal preference. And once you bring this coffee to about 158 degrees, you're going to stir it occasionally, but you don't want to stir it too much or else that's going to disrupt the grounds at the bottom of the coffee too much to where they can't form a thick foam at the top of the coffee, which is very important to have for Turkish coffee because it adds to all of the taste. And once you begin to get a small ring around the top of the coffee, you want to bring it off of the heat source and leave it to sit for a couple minutes, and then you want to stir it just once or twice, should do the job, until that thick foam comes to the top. And once you get that thick foam at the top, you're going to begin pouring your coffee into your cups and serving it to your guests. And you can make enough for 1 or 2 cups, or 3 or 4, 5 or 6, however many cups you want to brew, you can brew, but you need to make sure that each cup gets an adequate and equal amount of foam, because that foam is very, very important to the taste of your coffee. So you're going to start by pouring very, very fast. So you're going to bring your pitcher up and your cup low, and you want to pour it very, very fast and then slowly bring it closer to the surface of the cup of the coffee so that you get that foam on the top, because the foam is where all of the special cherry and chocolatey notes from the coffee is going to come from. It's going to come in that foam. And once you're ready to serve your coffee, you want to serve it with a glass of cold water, and it's to be sipped. It's not to be chugged by any means. You want to sip it very, very slowly. And once your coffee is done, once you reach the grounds, you want to discard your cup. Some people will just throw the grounds in the trash, discard the cup entirely. Others will place the cup down flat on a surface and let those grounds dry. And it's kind of tradition, mainly for entertainment purposes, for somebody to look at the grounds in your cup and read your fortune out of it, which is mainly just for entertainment, but it's tradition and it's fun to do with family and friends. But that's how you brew a Turkish cup of coffee, and I recommend all of you to try that at home if you'd like, because it's a very, very, very good way to brew a cup of coffee, and it tastes very, very good, and it's nice to enjoy coffee slowly rather than quickly like we're used to here in America. And it gives us a reason to talk to family and friends and value those relationships more like they do in Turkey.